Hey everyone, welcome to Lead Like You Mean It, people. Today I have a fabulous guest, Quinn Conyers. Quinn Conyers is a dynamic event MC, master panel moderator, TEDx speaker. You guys need to check that out on YouTube. Author and entrepreneur with more than 2 decades of experience commanding stages and creating memorable experiences. She has worked with organizations and associations including Nike, PayPal, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, the National Urban League, the United Nations, and Meeting Professionals International. Quinn is the author of Speak, Black Woman: How Women in Business Can Profit from Public Speaking, and Speak Up, the ultimate guide to dominate in the speaking industry. Quinn, welcome to Lead Like You Mean It, people.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here and have a wonderful conversation with you.
All right. I'm glad to have you. Glad to have another Marylander on the line.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So for today, every leader has a voice, but having a voice and knowing how to use it effectively are two different things. Whether you're leading a meeting, presenting an idea, speaking on stage, advocating for your team, or simply trying to make sure your message is heard, your ability to communicate shapes your influence. Today, we're talking about the power of your voice. What a better person to have than Miss Quinn? And what happens when you learn to use it with confidence, clarity, and intention? Quinn, so we're going to kick it off with my first question. I always joke, Connie provides questions. We may or may not hit all of them. We may just hit one.
That's fine.
Oh, all right. So you've spent more than two decades using your voice professionally. When did you realize that your voice wasn't just about speaking? It was a tool for influence and leadership.
I don't think originally that I was thinking about influence and leadership when I started to speak. I was trying to figure out how do I make money.
Mhm.
Okay. That's where I kind of started. I remember being a college student and I remember we got our syllabus when I was a freshman and I saw that people were getting their syllabus before me and they were freaking out. And why they were freaking out was because on the syllabus of classes, there was an intro to public speaking class. And
Mm,
everyone was like, I don't want to take public speaking. And I was the only one like, what's the problem? Give me the microphone. So I
mhm,
quickly realized, probably in college, that what people were afraid of, I ran to. And that was
mm,
my first kind of like inclination that this is something. And then when I started to speak, I quickly learned that people started to listen. So it wasn't people would tune out or get distracted or be on their cell phones. It was like they were really listening to what I had to say. So I would say the first time was when I was presented with an intro to public speaking class. I didn't run. And I think
mm,
that sometimes when people are taught or presented with an idea to use their voice, they're scared first before they grab the mic. I grabbed the mic. So that kind of let me know that this is not something that I'm afraid of or want to turn down. It was something that I leaned into, which gave me
mm,
like, this could be something. This could be how I lead and leave a legacy is through my voice because what scares most people, I ran straight towards.
mhm. Okay, and then I remember you sharing one other time that you were a professor in college. Is that true? So talk to us about what you really led the class towards as far as public speaking.
Yeah, it was so interesting because I had just graduated from Howard University. Shout out to all my fellow Bisons. And I got my master's from Howard University. And I was presented with the opportunity to teach speech communications at Coppin State University. And
Mm,
Carla, I was petrified, just to say a little bit, not because I knew that I could teach, because even before that, I taught at the high school level. So when I was getting my master's degree, I taught public speaking at a high school as
mhm,
part of like my like part-time job, right? To make some money
mhm,
when I was in college. And all you need would have a bachelor's degree to teach at the collegiate level. I mean, at the high school level. So I did. And then teach at the high school level. But it was different because I knew that I still had a baby face. I was literally stepping off of a college campus. So if you're talking about leading with your voice, I had to, before I stepped into the classroom, I had to step into the interview room and
Yeah.
share with the people that were part of this communication department why I was qualified to teach at the collegiate level,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that was terrifying because I just felt like people were not going to take me seriously. They were going to look at me as a student, not as a professor. And I think that that was probably the beginning of. And then I knew that the majority of the students saw this as another gen ed, general education course. And I think the first thing that I did before kind of diving into how to become a better public speaker, how to become a better communicator, is I was showing them how their voice and speaking would show up in every aspect of their lives. If you
Mm.
want a job interview, you're going to have to use your voice. If you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to speak and use your voice. So before I jumped into the curriculum, I was showing them how speaking and communicating and leveraging their voice was going to show up in every aspect of their life beyond this class. So I focused on the practical, realistic application of being a better speaker and communicator before I dived into the curriculum. And that's what I think made me stick as a teacher and as a professor, both at the high school level and at the college level when I was teaching at Coppin State University.
Mm. It's so important that someone is there to be able to share with people that your voice really shows up everywhere, just like you were sharing. It shows up everywhere you're going. I had a bunch of guys where I used to work years and years ago, and they said, Carla, you've got a wimpy voice. And I became offended. And I was like, what? They said, you're never going to be able to do your job because I used to talk like this. They
Mm.
stood me on one side of the room and made me project my voice to the other side. And they said, we need to be able to hear you. And I just thought that was so intimidating, but it's what you're saying. It is so important. You take your voice wherever you go, your
Yeah,
interviews, it shows up. It's just not your resume. So,
absolutely.
where did your luxury language come from?
I've lived many lives, right? And one of those lives I'm still living is as an entrepreneur. And
Uh-huh.
years ago, I had a bag business called the Purse Paparazzi, and I would sell various handbags and purses. And like many other entrepreneurs, I needed money, I needed access to capital. And at the time, I didn't feel comfortable or confident going into a bank and asking for a loan or a line of credit. So I found out
Mhm.
about these things called business pitch competitions, right? And if you're not
Mhm.
familiar with business pitch competitions, it's where entrepreneurs give anywhere from 30 seconds, 60 seconds to a couple of minutes, and they pitch their business for funding.
Mhm.
And at
Mhm.
the time, I saw that as a viable way to fund my business. So I would enter these business pitch competitions, but I knew very early on that if I said, "Hi, my name is Quinn and I sell handbags, purses, clutches, and luggage," you would dismiss me. You were like, "Oh, yeah, you and everybody else." I knew that I would
Yeah.
be labeled as the bag lady. So I was like, before I like coined it and framed it luxury language, I knew that I had to talk about my bags in a way that was different, special, and unique if I wanted to get funded. So
Mhm.
I began to use different words and language to describe my bag business. And later on, I ended up calling it luxury language. But in the beginning, I didn't know what to call it. I just knew that I can't just say I sell handbags. And then
Yeah.
when I started working with more speakers and entrepreneurs, I realized that their biggest problem wasn't their problem, it wasn't their product, it wasn't their service, it was the way that they communicated what they do. It was the way that they verbalized their value. So I began to work with other individuals on how to verbalize their value and how to
Mhm.
articulate their awesomeness using what I call luxury language. Because entrepreneurs, speakers, and business owners, especially women, are using what I call weak words or
Mhm.
discount dialect that is hurting their chances of attracting customers and clients, and they don't even know it simply
Mm.
by the language that they're using. So my goal was to raise their awareness to use luxury language on behalf of their business or their brand and not use what I call discount dialect, which is words and phrases and language that reduces the value of the services that you offer.
Mm. That's powerful. All right.
Mhm.
So Quinn, I've got this cup here.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite cups.
Yeah.
Coffee. Right now it's water. Give me some luxury language over this wonderful coffee mug.
Yeah. So you can say, I have a cup or I have a cup of coffee, Or you can say, inside this amazing container is
Mm.
deliciousness that keeps me caffeinated all day. Like inside this container is deliciousness. I mean, I just be making up stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what are you selling? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're selling the deliciousness of keeping you caffeinated all day. It's not
Yeah.
just the cup. So it's like, it's the way you talk about it. Everybody else is selling cups, they're selling tumblers, they're selling
Hmm.
mugs, but it's like, how are you talking about it? Do you want a
Hmm.
cup or do you want a container that keeps you
Hmm.
caffeinated all day? So that's
Hmm.
kind of like my using luxury language or being intentional about how you describe things so you can make more sales.
Yeah. 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 And when you said keep that would keep me caffeinated all day long, I perked up. Absolutely. That's what I need. I just don't need this
Exactly.
cute little blue cup.
Exactly.
It's the results that I'm gonna get from the cute little blue cup.
Yes, you got it. You got it. So it's the language that you're using, but it's also the psychographics of the benefit, right? And
Mm.
that's what I've learned. Like I would say, when I was heavy in purse paparazzi, I'm allowing you to carry what you care about, right? If
Mhm.
you want a purse and you just want something that's boring and basic, you want to blend in, don't buy from me. But if you want to walk into that special event, if you want to be on date night, if you want to be hanging out with your girlfriends and you want to turn heads and get compliments every single time you walk in a room, you need a
Mhm.
purse from the purse paparazzi. Like
Mm.
I would sell the feeling that you get when you're carrying it, not just something that
Yeah.
holds your wallet, your pens, and your money.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because then you tend to blend in with everyone else.
Correct.
Yeah, and I may give my money to someone else, but now you're telling me the result.
Correct.
That's fabulous. Just
Yeah.
fabulous. Hmm. Okay, I wanna talk about your books. So I have one
Okay.
of your books.
Got it.
Tell me, at one point, did you wanna write a book? And I understand about the public speaking and sharing when you were a professor, but what did you see, or what was the need that you wanted to fulfill with writing a book for women, for Black women?
So, especially with Black women in business, a couple things came to mind. I think that there is a massive mistake and myth that's floating around that women, especially Black women, women of color, need to find their voice.
Mm,
And when I hear the term you need to find your voice, it implies that you've lost it.
yeah,
And many of us have not lost our voice. We know exactly where it is. Most of our
absolutely.
voices are muted and muzzled, right?
Mhm,
And we, somewhere along the line, whether it's culturally, whether it's family, whether it's corporate America, the volume of our voices have been turned down. We've
mm,
been conditioned not to speak up. We've been conditioned not to be the angry Black woman. We've been conditioned not to be too much or do too much or say too much. So after years, we begin to reduce our voice. And women, especially Black women, are the fastest group of growing entrepreneurs, and they were not using their voice to sell their products and services. So I wrote this book to give permission to women, especially Black women, to use their voice and speaking and language as a vehicle to advance their business because they were not speaking up. They were thinking
mhm,
that this product, this service, this brand, this book would sell itself. No, it doesn't. When you raise your hand to be an entrepreneur, to be a speaker, to be a business owner, you are also raising your hand to say, I am now the spokesperson
yeah,
for my business. So I would love to say that this product, this service sells itself. It does not. And I saw more and more talented, creative, well educated Black women showing up, but then not speaking up on their business. So
mm,
here is how to activate your voice so you can use your voice as lead generation, as a marketing strategy in your business, because many of these women were doing great things and they were quiet about it. They didn't
yeah,
want to be bragging. They didn't want to do too much. And I'm like, but by you not doing too much, you're doing so little, which is hurting your sales.
mhm,
So
mm,
that's why I wrote, Speak Black Woman, because culturally, a lot of us have been told to be seen but not heard. Don't speak unless spoken to. Our voices have been so muted and muzzled that we had to resurrect our voice. You know what I
mhm.
mean? To make sure that we're using it to promote our products and services that we work so hard to create.
And you're so right. So I think back before I became an entrepreneur, I worked for the Department of the Navy. So I used to sit around, and sometimes I was the only woman or the only Black woman, Black person in the room. And I did have that feeling of, oh, I shouldn't speak. But no, I have a responsibility to
Yeah.
speak, not just for the organization, but for Carla.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn. And in the beginning, it was fearful because you hear those things. Oh, don't speak. You're a woman. You know what? Yeah. No. Once I started to speak up, things started to change for me. So I'm glad you wrote the book. That's fabulous. We've got
Hmm.
a couple of comments. One from
Yeah.
Dr. Pam Perry. She
Hey,
says, "Hey."
Pam.
She said, "You've been a cover girl for Speakers Magazine, the number one magazine for Black speakers."
Yeah.
All right. Then we have another one. Oh, from Renee Padmore Backus. So Renee and I, we attended the SIP conference, or I don't know, a SIP Live back in September. And that's the first time we met with you. She says she's tuning in from Upper Marlboro.
Love it.
Love it. Okay, I want to transition also because I said I was going to ask this question, but I know the answer. So I asked you this at one of your events. We were having lunch. Hey, you get fabulous events with awesome food. Can I say that?
Yes.
So at lunchtime, I said, which do you enjoy? What do you enjoy the most? Being an MC or a speaker?
Mm. My answer's still the same. I enjoy being an MC more. And the reason why I say more is because it's so unexpected, and I
Hmm.
know how valuable the role has is to events and organizations. But more importantly, I love speaking. I still am a speaker. I have a bunch of speaker, colleagues that are in this space. But me being an MC allows me to be a category creator.
Mm.
I can stand out. I can shine. I can show the relevance of a role that the events industry has widely overlooked, underestimated, and dismissed. The event MC role has really been an afterthought. A lot of times people will get who I call boring board member Bob to host their event. They'll get the CEO to do it. So I think that with the MC role, it allows me to redefine what a role can be, so it allows me to be entrepreneurial around it. It allows me to provide some type of, event education around the role. But more
Mhm.
importantly, it allows me to be an integral part of the event ecosystem because there are keynote speakers, there's AV, there's a DJ, there is the attendee experience. But I think a lot of times people underestimate the power of an event MC being the glue that can hold
Yeah.
the event together. So I like being outside the box. I think breaking barriers. I like challenging misconceptions and stereotypes of what the role can be.
Mhm.
It allowed me to blossom and to really tap on several of my skills and gifting when it comes to leaving a legacy with my language and changing the world with my words that just a typical speaker, in my opinion, cannot do.
Mm. Mm. Now I do hold other people. I'm ringing the Quinn Conyers bell. I do hold other event MCs up to you because I've been to events and I sit there and think to myself, "Ooh, Quinn would have never done that." There's a lot. There's a lot of space. You hear this little hum throughout the audience. That's because there's a lot of space, and I'm thinking, okay, she would have filled it up. So talk to us about when that actually happens. Let's say a speaker
Yeah,
finishes 15 minutes early, but
has
your
happened.
other speaker is not prepared. As an MC, how do you fill that gap?
See, this is where I probably where my personality truly shines is I thrive in chaos. If
Mm.
everything goes according to the plan on the agenda, then it's nice. It is at times where the speaker is 15 minutes early and lunch isn't ready and the keynote speaker isn't ready. And now I have 15 to 20 minutes to fill. This is where I would do an impromptu audience activation activity, right? I come to events with a bag of tricks that I will pull out and I can fill time, which has happened more times than you think. Most
Mm.
event planners are worried about the speaker going over. Very rarely do they think about and have time management or a backup plan for a speaker going under, right?
Mm.
So I have so many different tricks that I can do. Sometimes it is about what I call a keynote content activity. Whereas, let's say, Carla, you were the keynote speaker, I might pull three or four people on stage and do almost like a gamification. Hey, Carla mentioned that leaders must be able to blank, and then everybody might write down what that would have been, right? So I have a whole couple of different activities and tricks I can do to fill time without
Mhm.
interrupting the agenda and about not letting the audience know that this person finished early, because I've seen that too.
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
seen people get on stage and be like, well, they finished 15 minutes early. I didn't know they were going to do that. So I'm not sure what we're about to do, but we got about 15 minutes. So yeah, go ahead and talk amongst yourself. We don't need to broadcast the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Your
Okay.
MC should be your strategic solution. Your MC should be a fire putter outer. Your MC should be an extension of your team. Your MC should be have the experience and the expertise to keep an event on time and fill time if needed. And that's where I come to play. And that's why I'm such an advocate of a professional MC instead of who I call boring board member Bob, who raised his hand to MC because he likes the microphone. It is a
Mhm.
strategic role and position. You are leading individuals for one or multiple days. You do not leave that role up to chance.
Mm. And you don't leave us to do what we want to do
Yeah.
and sit there, like I mentioned earlier, sit there and chit chat for a little while and wonder, what's going on. Oh, let me take a bathroom break, and then let me go get on a meeting while I'm in the hallway, and I
Yeah.
never return.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I call losing people and attendees in the gap. The gaps are real.
Mm.
Most event and meeting planners, they're so worried about that 45 minutes, that 60-minute slot with the keynote speaker, not realizing that you can lose people in the gap. You know, people, especially adults, think that only children need to be told what to do. Adults, especially, need to be
Yes.
told what to do, because if not, if you leave them to their own devices, they're going to do whatever. And now you have a keynote speaker, you have a sponsor who expected to speak in front of 500 people or 1,000 people, who are now limited to 200 or 600 because
Mhm.
400 of them are doing their own thing because nobody was leading the room properly to tell them what to do.
That's powerful. So, what do you share with speakers ahead of them going on stage?
So I normally like to do what I call a speak and greet. Normally I have their bio and I'll spice it up a little bit, but I want the speaker to know that I got your back. I'm going to warm the stage. It's not going to be a boring and basic introduction. I'm going to pull out the lights, the energy, all that good stuff. If there's a DJ, which you should have a DJ at your event, some people don't know what walk-on music they should have. I remember I was hosting an event for the diverse business leaders, and it was the CEO of Kaiser Permanente, and there was a DJ, and the DJ comes up to us and says, hey, I'm going to be doing your walk-on music, what do you like? And he was just like, walk-on music, I don't even know. I said, play Classic Man, right? And it was perfect. So it's like, I really am the cheerleader and champion for the event planner, but also the keynote speaker, because usually I am their sandwich. I'm the person who
Mhm.
introduces them, it's the keynote speaker, and I am the one that wraps them up so the audience will know what key takeaways that they should remember. But it's also, I am for the keynote speaker experience. There's nothing
Mm.
worse than a keynote speaker getting on stage and they are introduced with low energy or no energy.
Yeah.
Somebody is
Yeah.
reading their bio verbatim. The person standing at the podium, the person butchers their name. So my job is to warm the stage before that speaker gets on so they can shine and we can glean from their experience, their expertise, their intellectual property. I should come, you know, hungry to learn from this speaker. And after the speaker is done, that's the audience should be full and of content because it was laid up. I'm the appetizer,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
speaker is the main course, and then I'm the dessert.
Mm. Okay, so what did you say? What's the name again? Boring Bob Boardroom. What
Yes.
is his name?
Boring board member Bob. Every board has a board member named Bob who's like, I'll MC. And Bob, your jokes are from the 1920s. No, nobody's laughing. Okay. Like you're referencing presidents that they go on to glory. Like, let's
Yeah.
go ahead and let's update this. Or, you know what I mean? Like it's just you're boring. Like
Yeah.
we love you, bless your heart. I feel like you have a lot of experience and expertise, but you're not the right person to MC this event. Let's
Yeah.
retire Bob. Let's retire him.
And then what you're saying is you're the appetizer, you're the dessert, the sandwich.
Yes.
So Bob, I can't remember Bob Boring, Bob Room Boy, whatever. He's not thinking about that. He's thinking about
No.
Bob.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm. That's quite a difference than the MC really being able to support the speaker instead of someone, hey, you all know me. I'm on the board. Look at me the whole time. Don't care. I don't care too much about what is happening over there with the speaker. That's something that I never thought of, that an MC is there to really support, and I don't want to see care for in a negative way, but just to be there to be able to provide whatever the need is for the speaker, even if they finish early or they go over.
Or let's go a little bit deeper. I mean, because it is a role, like certain events that I'm doing. Like if I am hired by an organization, that is one thing. A lot of them have CEOs, VPs of this, VPs of that, VP of
Mhm,
marketing, whatever, right? If a person is hosting their own event, right? So
mhm,
Carla,
mhm,
let's say for example, you're having your own leadership conference, your own leadership convention, right?
mhm, mhm.
You need speaker support,
Yes.
right? Which is a little bit different from me just introducing you and then wrapping you up and going along your way. A lot of times, if you're hosting your own event, you need speaker support because you are probably building an event or an experience around your brand. So
Yes.
when you leave the stage, you might have 50 people wanting to talk to you because they've been following you on social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram for years. You might need speaker support from, I don't know why people still do this. It's not my thing if you know me personally. You might need support from going from heels to sneakers. Who's getting your sneakers? Who's getting your flats? Sometimes
Yeah.
that's my job. You might be so excited that you haven't eaten. So I'm the one like, okay, she is excited to speak with you. Give us a couple of more minutes. She's going to eat
Mhm,
and she'll be
mhm.
back around. Like I'm making sure you're fed. I'm making sure that you're hydrated. I've had speakers or people who are hosting their own conferences and events realize that they're dehydrated and they haven't eaten because they were just so super serving that they're flattening out. It's 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
You got 2 more hours to go. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So there is certain things that I'm looking at when I am, hosting events for individuals who are hosting their event. And my role becomes a little bit different in making sure you're hydrated, making sure that we have codes. You blink twice, you want me to get you the heck up out of here so you can recharge because hosting your
Mhm.
event requires a lot of peopling. And most people are not extroverts, most people are
Yeah.
introverts. So they don't want to turn you down because you paid, you invested in this event. I'm going to give you some of my time and my attention, but I'm also projecting your energy and your expertise. So if I have to scoop you up and make sure that you eat and you hydrate, I can do that.
Mhm. That's fabulous. That's a totally different look than what we really perceive what an MC is.
And I struggle, Carla, because I use the term MC because it's what the market understands.
Okay.
But I know that I'm so much more than that,
Yeah.
right? So maybe I need to figure out some luxury language. Like I do. I say MC, I say,
Mhm.
strategic event host, I say conference correspondent, I have what I call speaker support. So I guess I do have some language around it, but I do have to educate the market
Yeah.
on why you do need somebody like me because I know that doing these events takes a lot of energy out of you and I can literally protect your peace at
Mm.
events.
Mm. An MC who protects the peace of the speaker, and then
Mhm.
also the organization is actually holding it. And you mentioned before the sponsor.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, this opens up a whole new world for me. For me personally, I, I
Yeah.
just I just never thought about it. Hey, Quinn, I want to talk about your TEDx.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, but before then, this is a prop I learned from Miss Quinn Conyers. And I have to give it to you for your TEDx was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about the TEDx itself, along with the doors that it opened up for you.
Mhm. So let's be clear. I tell people all the time that I've been speaking, hosting, being an entrepreneur. It is taking me 11 years to become an overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
11. I have applied for more TED Talks than I can count for. And it just guess wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
And this past year on May 1st, I did my very first TEDx talk. But I always share that because they see you and think like, oh yeah, like no, no, no. I applied many a times and got turned down many a times. So May 1st was the first time that I got that magical yes to stand on that red dot. And I just thought about what is the idea that I have worth sharing. And I feel like my success, my opportunity has not come from the concept of trying to go big. It really has come from me noticing the small things, me
Mm,
maximizing what others miss. And I think that in a world that encourages us, in my opinion, bullies us to go big, I found that having the audacity to go small was my superpower. And I wanted
mm,
to share that story and share that message with other people who are looking for their next big break, their next big stage, their next big client. And your bigness actually might be buried in the small things that you're overlooking. So,
mhm.
in the audacity to go small, I talked about how small can be strategic and small can be a way that you scale. And having the audacity to go small takes courage and confidence, because sometimes we look at small as insignificant, but
Yeah.
small is really where significance begins. And I boldly believe that if more of us as speakers, as entrepreneurs, as creators will look at the small things that are around us, that's where the big ideas and the big breakthrough can come. So that's what I did my talk on, the audacity to go small and how we can use that as a tool for strategic business growth.
Powerful. And what doors did it open up for you?
So from that, I was sitting in I did my talk, and there
Mhm.
was a woman that was in the audience who was like, "Oh my God, this message is so timely." And she hired me to be the commencement speaker for her high school. She was
Beautiful.
a superintendent. So you just
Yeah.
never know. And the beauty of having a TEDx talk, which I've learned that people are so worried about the views. It's like your TEDx talk, you could do it in 2026 and in 2029 it just blow up, right? You
Mhm.
just never know. So it's a piece of intellectual property that lives on. But also too, there was so much positive feedback. People were telling me, I'm able to breathe, thank you for this refreshing outlook on life. I've been trying to go big, or we've been told 10x this, 20x
Yeah.
6, go big, go home, don't, you know what I mean? And it's not about thinking small, it's about noticing the small things. So I'm also going to be writing a book. So I'm putting it out there right now, called The Audacity to Go Small. And I want to release it on what I call my TEDiversary, which was May
Mhm.
1st, 2027. So it'll be a year since I did my TEDx talk.
Yeah.
And I want to share small success stories of other individuals who did small things that grew their business, grew their brand, and really
Mhm.
talk to people about your extra $50,000, $75,000 might not be in this big launch. It could be in the small things that you're overlooking. Your
Mm.
next client might not be just going after women. It could be women who are over 50 looking for the next career move. It's about drilling down and
Yeah.
going smaller and deeper versus wider and bigger. And that's where the opportunity comes from. So I want to take that intellectual property and really give people a blueprint on how small can be their superpower for growth.
Mm. Okay, I'm giving you dead air now because that is heavy.
Yeah.
That is just fantastic. Okay, as a host, I should probably move on, but I just said I feel like I need to think about that a little bit more.
That's okay. Listen,
That is so empowering.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this later because I could sit here for a couple of minutes, and that's not a good way to host. So, let me ask you about your two boys
Hmm.
and your legacy, because sometimes well, not sometimes, I did hear a colleague about a year or two ago. She mentioned that she wanted to do a TEDx. And the reason why is because she wanted to leave a legacy. Like you
Hmm.
mentioned, it could blow up in 2029, who knows, 10 years from now. But as far as the TEDx and any other thing in your business, what type of legacy would you like to leave for your two boys?
I want them to know that entrepreneurship is a viable career opportunity for them.
Mhm.
One of the biggest things that I think I'm most proud of in regards to my career is that when I got pregnant with my first son, who's 11, I went to my husband and said, I can't do all four. I can't be a wife, a mom, an employee, and an entrepreneur. So I
Mhm.
had made a decision not to go back to work after maternity leave. And that was instrumental because my kids have never seen me work a traditional 9 to 5. Their entire lives, it's been mommy speaks to peoples with an S, right? That's what they used to say when I was younger. She speaks to peoples. She talks to peoples with an S. So they have been very conditioned to know that there's two ways. If you ask them, how can you make money? How can you make a living? You can either get a job or you can be a business owner. So
Yeah.
that's my legacy, to let them know there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. But I think that a lot of people sometimes resort to being an entrepreneur because their career or the 9 to 5 didn't work out. And I want them to know that that can be an initial career path when you first get started, not an afterthought or an after corporate America, then did you wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it can be something viable that you do from the beginning.
And it makes me think of my mom. So she did have the 9 to 5, but then she was someone who she sewed very well, and she used to sew people's costumes. So I actually saw my mom become an entrepreneur
Yes.
after her 9 to 5, and that it is possible because she was successful.
Yeah, and most people can, right? Like, I know a lot. Full-time entrepreneurship, it ain't for everybody. Trust and believe, right? I mean, I did it for years. I worked my 9 to 5, and I came home and I worked my 5 to 9, right? And I decided, for me, I wanted to make that 5 to 9 more of what I wanted to do. But it's a way for you to express yourself creatively. It's an extra way to create some extra income from yourself. Like, I'm not bashing the 9 to 5 or the 5 to 9er, but it's just like, it really is about, like, that's my legacy. I want them to know that you can choose entrepreneurship as a career path.
Yes. And I hadn't seen that before until my mother's decided to sew all these costumes and wedding dresses. It's like, wow, you can have your own business? Because I was so used to, I mean, this is the DMV. I was so used to, you work at the government, you get that good government job. That's all I heard. But then my mom in the home, actually had her own business. It does. It opens up the child's eyes, in your case, the children's eyes. You're like, wow, there's another avenue instead of what I see on a normal basis.
Absolutely.
Wow. Fantastic. Well, Quinn, it is 12:37.
We've been rocking and rolling, Miss Carla.
I know. This has been fantastic. I so appreciate you coming on. Wait a minute. Let me get my prop that I learned from Quinn Conyers.
I got mine too. Look.
Yeah. Well, before we close, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Just thank you for the opportunity to be on your platform. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a speaker, you're a creator, and you're watching this, I really want to encourage you to have the audacity to go small, because at the end of the day, small is so significant. And, in an industry where, speaking is amazing, I went small. I picked the MC role, and there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, it's about standing out. It's not about being better. It's about being different. And you being different is going to require you to do some small things that others might not be looking at. And that's how you grow, and that's how you scale. Pay attention to what others are ignoring, and that's how you kind of really grow your business or your brand.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Quinn, once again. Thank you very much. We look forward to that book, May 1st, 2027.
Oh, I didn't put it out in the atmosphere. Lord Jesus, now I got to deliver. Okay.
And if any of you would like to reach out to Quinn, we'll have some information in the comments. Quinn, again, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. And folks, we'll see you next month on Lead Like You Mean It, people. We're out of here.
Thank you.